This week's edition of Monday Night Raw just aired, so be sure to check out our recent video on the recap, and we also look at the good, the bad and the downright ugly. Of course, as always, there's plenty of news, and the top stories include Kofi's crew rallying behind him, lose the gut, Vince congratulates the boys, who's next for Goldberg, UFC vs WWE, and The Rock responds to Randy Orton. Let's waste no further time and get into the first story, Kofi's crew rallying behind him, as Kofi Kingston squashed Brock Lesnar at the 20th anniversary edition of SmackDown didn't escape criticism from people backstage. According to Pro Sports Extra's Brad Shepard, he reported that according to a source in WWE, the booking of Kofi Kingston vs Brock Lesnar on SmackDown came straight from Vince McMahon. I'm told multiple people in the company objected, not at the result, but at the way Kofi lost the match. But while some wrestlers kept their mouths shut backstage, one wrestler who couldn't hilariously keep his opinions to himself was former European champion X-Pac, who was invited to the Hell in a Cell watch-along streamed live from WWE's channel.
Wait, what? Alright.
He's still the champ.
You may not ask me back for another one of these, but how the hell do you get DQ'd in the hell
Did he
in
get
the
DQ'd or the refs
frickin'
just stopped the
cell?
match?
It's safe to say X-Pac won't be invited next time. McMahon may have wanted to restore Lesnar's reputation as a complete monster to prepare him for a match against UFC legend Cain Velasquez, but as we're about to see, McMahon may be getting cold feet. As our second story, lose the gut. Cain Velasquez's MMA credentials are many, with the UF star being a two-time UFC heavyweight champion, holding numerous records in the UFC and distinguishing himself in NCAA wrestling. For Vince McMahon, Velasquez is an ideal opponent for Brock Lesnar, as Valesquez defeated Lesnar for the UFC Heavyweight Championship back in 2010 at UFC 121. As noted in our earlier news video, Valesquez is not signed to the WWE, despite making an appearance on the 4th October SmackDown, confronting Lesnar after the Beast's win over Kofi. While Cain is very interested in working for the WWE, rumour has it that Vince McMahon isn't thrilled with his look. Brad Shepard also noted on his Oh You Didn't Know podcast, again, as always, take it with a pinch of salt, we know he's not favourable, as according to a source in WWE, Vince McMahon wants Cain Velasquez to get ripped if he's going to commit. The feeling is that he doesn't look like a former UFC heavyweight champion right now, whereas for example Brock Lesnar does. I'm told Velasquez is really nice and willing to learn. AEW's Chris Jericho, who has previously mocked Brock Lesnar for his gut, had some fun with Velasquez too, asking on social media, "Who's that skinny fat guy?" Hopefully Velasquez will be able to live up to Vinnie Mac's standards. A man with an all-natural physique who expects his employees, independent contractors, to maintain a perfect physique while travelling most of the year without the benefit of a personal chef. But Vinnie Mac isn't always too harsh, as he congratulated the boys. WWE Chairman Vince McMahon reportedly sent out an internal email today to thank everyone for the success of Friday's SmackDown Fox premiere. Vince's email noted that the top-rated segment for Friday's Fox premiere was the opener with The Rock, King Baron Corbin and Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch. Vince noted that the segment brought in 4 million viewers. The congratulatory message also touted how SmackDown doubled the number 2 show of the night in all key demographics. Vince also thanked everyone in the company for their help in achieving Friday's success for the Blue Brand premiere on Fox. We're surprised he just didn't write, "Everybody thanked The Rock for 4 million views." Next up, who's next for Goldberg? Goldberg was one of the variety of wrestling stars who showed up on Friday night's SmackDown premiere on Fox, and during his entrance on the blue carpet, he was asked which WWE superstar he'd like to face. Big Bad Bill replied, "God, who wouldn't I like to face that I haven't faced? You know, Roman and Braun are two guys I'd like to test their mettle a bit. Georgia versus Georgia Tech. It's kinda a built-in rivalry, but I'm good. Whoever they throw in front of me, I'll decimate. You know, it's all good." Either match would be a battle of the big boys, and it would be a good fit for the WWE's nostalgia-driven shows in Saudi Arabia. Next up, UFC vs WWE. Tito Ortiz vs Alberto El Patron, formerly Del Rio, has been confirmed to be the main event of the Combat America's December 7th fight card. Interestingly, the match, which involves a former UFC light heavyweight champion and a former WWE champion, is not endorsed by either company, but oddly, their championships will be on the line. Make sense? Nope? Well, here's what Combat America's CEO Campbell McLaren had to say. This is a one-of-a-kind, larger-than-life fight, one of the greatest MMA superstars of all time, facing off with one of professional wrestling's most decorated champions and an accomplished MMA fighter in his own right. On top of all that, these two legends are putting their belts where their mouths are. It's the type of fight that comes around once or twice in a lifetime, and Combat Americas is going to deliver it to fans worldwide from the US-Mexico border. This is by far one of the strangest fights we've ever heard of, especially where two belts are on the line and they're not even endorsed by the company that's trademarked them. Will they get sued from WWE or UFC? And a final news story of today, The Rock responds to Randy Orton. Just before The Rock returned on SmackDown's debut on Fox, the Apex Predator Randy Orton reached out to him and, simply put, asked him whether he's down for a match at Wrestlemania 36. We didn't get a reply on SmackDown, nor did the Viper and the Great One meet in the ring, but The Rock instead took to Twitter to respond saying, "You think Bob Orton Sr. and Chief Maivia, along with our popses Bob Jr. and the Soul Man, ran up and down those roads for decades taking bumps just so we can sell out WrestleMania 36 so you can RKO my ass through the earth? My body's still recovering from that Evolution beatdown you gave me at WrestleMania 20. To which Randy replied, "My man, so I guess that's a no." Whilst it wasn't a definitive answer, there's a good chance that The Rock's film schedule is just too busy to fit in a marquee match at WrestleMania, but it could also be down to the fact that he just doesn't want to wrestle. What do you guys think of these news stories? Let us know in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.